Right, so I'm hoping this is working. Here we go. Hello and welcome to my podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I have too many finished objects to even remember. I had to write it all down, which is great, and it's been a while. So let's jump right in. So the first item I would like to talk about is the one I'm wearing. I am very excited about this one, actually. It's the Marseille Sweater by Petiteknit, and it has a couple of modifications, nothing too crazy. Double folded neckline and nice shoulder construction there, you can see. Drop shoulder, obviously. I didn't line up the stripes quite, perfectly, but they're good enough. Yeah, I think they're pretty good enough. You can see where it fits me, sort of on the waist, middle waist there, and it's very cozy. It's very comfortable, cozy, just enough oversize for me to feel like I can wear this every day. And I have been wearing it quite a lot. I've got a few jumpers now that I just rotate through the week, and this is definitely one of them. It's on the warmer side. So this is Drops Merino Extra Fine. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I think it's the Drops Extra Fine Merino. So it is a warm fabric on 4mm needles. It's quite dense. So I knit the sport weight merino from Drops. I think it's the baby merino or something. Also same measure, same stitches, same pattern, same everything, and it came out a lot thinner. It's a very different kind of garment. This one is more for very cold days, and the other one is maybe for more of a spring and autumn kind of thing. So I grabbed for this one a lot. It's got a lovely neckline, and because it's the merino, it's not scratchy at all. It's like right up against my neck, and it feels nice and cozy, and it fits really well. This is a good fit. I like it. The one thing I don't like, I'll talk about a bit later, which is why I probably won't do this pattern very easily again, but more about that in a minute. So that's my first finished object. I'm very happy with it. Second finished object. Now this one I cast on and off since the last podcast. It is the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad, and it is really, really something. I love this one. It's just the patterning on it is, if you ask me would I do it again, I'd say absolutely. If you ask me how the pattern was to knit, I'd say dreadful. It was horrendous. It took so long to do these bobbles. One row was like an hour or something. It really took long. I don't know what it was. It's not the way I hold my yarn, because I knit both ways, so I can switch it up. And I tried every way possible, and I just couldn't find a way that was quicker. It just took very long. I think that's just the nature of these wheat stitches. Not a fan of knitting the bobbles, but like I said, I would do it again. And there is a hat with a similar pattern that I'd really like to knit up for this winter if I get a chance to buy some yarn for it. But it's a pain knitting them, but it's worth it. Look at it. It's just, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's really something I don't have in my wardrobe. It fits slightly tighter than the one I'm wearing, and it's got a single neckline. I decided to go with a single one because actually it was neat enough and it looked nice just the way it was. I usually go for the double, but single one worked in this case. And I don't know, this is knit up in Drop Sky, which is super ultra soft. It's like a blown yarn. So it has a very airy texture to it. The fabric is very light. You can tell it's a light kind of fabric. This whole sweater took 5 balls of 50 grams. So yeah, I would say about 240 grams. And then with maybe 10 grams of the kids silk mohair. so it's a very light sweater. It's about 250 grams for the whole thing, and very light indeed. So whereas this one is more like 10 balls of 50 grams. It's like more like it's like double. Anyways, very light, very airy. It is, however, very tight around the yoke for me. Also, I think this is extra tight because of the stitches, and I haven't blocked it, so I need to do that, and hopefully it'll fit just a little bit better around the arms, which is why I haven't worn it yet. You can see how stretchy this fabric is. It's super springy, and that's all the air that is in the yarn, and I'm hoping when I block it, it'll be just that much wider, because then it'll fit perfectly. Like, there'll be totally enough ease for me to wear it. So I'm just hoping it'll block out. I will do that, and hopefully it'll all be fine. I did a very small rib on this one, and that's because I used up every last scrap of it's like a pinkish grey. It's a very lovely colour, and I used every last scrap of that, of the 5th ball, to do this. The kid silk, I still have like 10 of the 20 gram mini that I had. I thought I was going to use it up, but I didn't. And this is so soft. My goodness, this is so soft. It makes this so... I wasn't going to do... So in some other people's patterns, you can see, and also on one of the test knits, you can see that they knit the collar with the silk. But 1, I don't want it irritating my neck, so I thought I'll leave it out. But 2, I thought I'd run out of yarn. Turns out there was over enough, so I didn't need to worry. Anyways, that's the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad. Like, really, really, really amazing product at the end of the very horrendous pattern. It's not the pattern, it's not her. The pattern's great and very easy to follow. I got this no problem. It's not the pattern, it's just the nature of the stitch is a bit fiddly. And with that, it takes an extra amount of time to do those rows. Thankfully, it's not every row. It's like, I can't remember. It's like every 4th row or something. So it's not every row. You just have to, when you have to do a bobble row, you just get yourself going. Before you know it, it's done. So that one I knit in 3 weeks. So I really was on a mission to get that one finished. Maybe that's why it felt so... I did a lot of bobbles in a very short amount of time. So maybe that's why I've been put off a little bit by the bobbles. But like I said, I would do it again. So my 3rd finished object is also a sweater. So I've been doing a lot of sweater knits in the last while. Every time I pick up my needles to knit a hat, then I want to do a sweater. Or I think of socks that I think, no, I want to do a sweater. So I'm definitely in sweater season. It has cooled down. You can see the lighting is not that great. I was hoping for some sun today, make my life easier with the lighting, but it's definitely winter here in the UK. I kind of think some people are hanging on to the fact that it's maybe still autumn, but really it's cold now. It's cold. Any kind of heating you would have put on in winter kind of would have gone on now, and I'm already wearing my thicker winter jumpers. So weather-wise, it's definitely winter. Anyway, so Drops is having a sale on all their alpaca across their range, and alpaca is one of my absolute favorite kinds of yarn to knit with. I just love it. It's so drapey, it's so soft. It's you can't really throw it in the wash. Actually, you can't throw it in wash. Don't throw it in the wash. But there's something about it that I just really love. I prefer it over a rustic wool. I guess that's the itch factor. For me, alpaca is very soft. So it's more about the texture. The texture of the fabric is just delightful. So I love it. And when I saw the alpaca sale, I thought, yes, this is the right time of the year for me to be buying some. So I did. And then I thought, well, I've done this drop shoulder, the Marseille Sweater, in this pink. And I've done it in the lighter, the pink stripy one. I kind of want to try something in a more neutrally brown toned color. And I thought, okay, well, what about, instead of just a plain brown, because I don't think I'm all about that, what if I marled it? I haven't done a marled sweater in a long time. And then I thought, okay, how about like a lightish brown and a sort of mediumish brown? Marl those two together, like a 2 fingering weight yarns held together makes a DK weight. So I'll find a DK weight drop shoulder pattern, perhaps this one I thought at the time, and then knit that in this marled kind of effect and see what that looks like. And I was really excited about that. So that's what I did. I bought 6 balls of the 100% alpaca fingering weight from Drops, and I bought the same yarn in like a light beigey brown and a darker brown. Medium brown. Anyway, when they arrived, either the dark was darker than I thought or the light was lighter than I thought, but the contrast between the two was larger than I thought it would be. I thought it would be less of a contrast. So I started the sweater, and I decided against this one, the Marseille Sweater, because of these. I don't really like the holes that you get on the shoulder from the short rows, and I didn't fancy figuring out something that would leave less holes. I mean, I've done the German short rows and I've tried some others, but they all leave some kind of hole, and I've seen those contiguous jumpers with like the neat seam around the shoulder. That's what I was wanting, just one neat seam down the shoulders. So I was on the hunt for patterns, and I looked and I looked and looked. And I did find quite a few that I liked the look of. So kind of like this kind of oversized fit. So basically exactly this, but not with the short rows, but with the contiguous kind of seam, the European style. Is that what it's called? The seam around the shoulder. Anyways, I decided on a pattern from Garn Studio called Sailor Stripes. I like the construction of it, not the coloring that they did it in like a white and a blue, and that wasn't the look I was going for, but the actual shoulder shaping was exactly what I was going for. So I figured, right, well, that's what it's going to be. Cast it on. It's really, really quite simple. You cast on 28 stitches down the back, and then you just knit out for the back part, and you increase 1 on each row, each side. So what you do is, to make the seams, you cast on 1 stitch each side, but 3 stitches in from the edge. So it leaves a 3-stitch seam, which is great. Also, when you pick it up, you can pick up on the edge, on the first stitch, or maybe even on the second stitch to make that seam thicker or thinner. Then I cast on the sweater. I cast on with the marled thingy-majig. But I did not like it at all. I did not like the ribbed in that marled look. It looked so busy. And I tried to picture it, as a whole. In fact, I cast on the whole bottom of the sweater because I was going to do bottom up. I did not like it because I was first going to do a different pattern. Didn't like the rib. So I thought, okay, right, scrap that idea. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with a top down, which is this Sailor Stripes I used, and I'm not going to do marled on the ribbing. We'll do marled on I did a little swatch, and I kind of lied. I was going to stick with the marled thing. But I was going to do the ribbing in just like one of the 2 colors, probably the lighter one, I thought at the time. Anyway, so I cast on, and guess what? It's done. The whole thing is done. So I have done it. And here it is. You can see the marled effect, which is pretty cool. I decided on a 1x1 neck, just a single, and here's the lovely shoulder seam. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. It's just so neat and tidy. You can see it going along there. So neat and tidy, and just what I was looking for. So very happy with this. You can see it's a drop shoulder. 1x1 rib with Italian bind off. And then I thought I'd try something different for the bottom, just because. However, I do regret it just ever so slightly because it's rolling up. Nothing that a bit of blocking won't block out, but still. I did a 3x1. Is it 3x1? Yeah, 3x1 rib on the bottom, which is kind of cool. I like the effect. It's nice and thick as well. You can see how thick it is. But it is rolling. You can see it's doing that thing where it just rolls up. And I think it's because I did like a modified Italian bind off on the bottom here just to make it look neat. Oh, you know what I did? It's a 3x1, so I just did 1x1 Italian bind off. So the middle stitch of each one, it's not quite matching up, but it's neat enough. Like, it looks just fine, and it's stretchy enough. You can see how it stretches out, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, so that's this one. I am super happy with it. Anyways, that's this one. Spoken about that one. All right, so then I thought I'd cast on some hats. And this is a hat for my son. Now, the Rugby World Cup was a couple weeks ago. And South Africa was in the semi-finals and the finals. And yay, we won. So that was really great and fun to watch. But as we were watching the semi-finals, I realized that my sons do not have any South African gear, like attire to represent, like nothing. They've got no green and gold at all. Shocking. So I was like, I'm a knitter. Why don't I just knit one of them a hat, or both of them a hat, or scarves or something? Anyway, so I asked them what they wanted, and my oldest said he'd like a hat, green and gold. So I thought, right, I've got the green in like a Drops Charisma, which is 100% wool, and my super special hand dyed yarn can be the yellow brim. And I thought, it's fine, it's my first ever hand dyed yarn, I'm going to use it for him. It'll look great, and it's going to have like a gold effect because it's like a tonal, it's like a orangey goldy brown speckled yarn. So I knit it up, and here we have it. It was actually, what is this called? It's called Just a Hat. So you can find it on Ravelry, Just a Hat. It's got like a broken rib stitch, which is super puffy and squishy and delightful. And the brim, you can see, is this lovely hand-dyed yarn. Anyways, I knit it up and I gave it to him. And you know what he said? He said, Mom, why does the yellow look dirty? He did not like it. So that was that. Very disappointing that I wasted my hand-dyed yarn on somebody who just thought it looked dirty. So to him that looked dirty, but he's 11, so I suppose a really bright yellow acrylic would have done better. But you live and you learn. It does kind of fit me, so maybe I'll wear it. I don't know. But anyways, you'll notice that the green is the same as one of my other finished objects, which is the other green and gold item that I have for my other son. So this is just a simple, it's my own sort of design, drop shoulder. I modified it from the balloon sweater. You can see the lovely seam. That is from the balloon sweater, Petiteknit balloon sweater pattern. So I just mimicked the shoulder from that and did my own numbers. And it's very wide, but it's nice and what is the word? It's nice and cozy on him, so he likes it. So yes, I've got another finished object. It's a my own pattern 3x2 ribbed, very simple hat. This one was slightly small for my head, so I thought, well, if this was like 90 something stitches, then I go down. If I'm going down a needle size to 2.75, then I might just cast on like 140 or something like that stitches is what I cast on for my hat. And I used my second skein of hand-dyed yarn with the speckles. In fact, here it is. And I have some of this. And so I knit myself a hat. And I'll put a picture because it's downstairs. My son that said he didn't like this, took one look at my lovely speckled white hat and said, oh, I like that one. I'll have that one. So now he's wearing that one. Ah, cheeky boy. Anyways, so he's wearing that. And I have this much left. So I have cast on something new with this, and I will talk about that in a minute. Let's just finish with the finished objects. There's so many that it's just going on and on and on. I think that is it though. So this hat, the white hat, which is just my own pattern, and then for the crown, I just decreased evenly over 8 stitches round and round till it's sort of finished, and there's nothing much to it. There's plenty of ribbed hats. In fact, the Pearl Soho classic ribbed hat is one I would recommend. It's 1x1 rib, but it's really, really such a classic, hence the name, classic pattern. That's the one I would probably go to for every hat that I do from now on, because the 3x2 is nice, but it doesn't look as classic as the 1x1 rib. Although, having said that, with a hand-dyed yard, I kind of wanted more of the knit stitches to show, if you know what I mean. So when you're doing 1x1 rib, there's a lot going on. And I noticed with the marled, holding the two different colors together and doing that in the 1x1 rib was too busy. And I kind of have the feeling it would be the same for the hand-dyed yarn. If I did this in 1x1 rib, it would be very busy. And I kind of want this yarn to be the main thing. So 2x1 or 3x1 or 3x2 is kind of, I just randomly picked 3x2 and I knit the hat in that pattern. And I'm very happy with it. It fits better than some of the other hats I've knit that I thought would fit me. Anyway, and then the last finished object is this one here. There's no real pattern for it. It's just a mishmash of different patterns. And I used up a lot of acrylic yarn, which is great. The white and the orange is acrylic, and then the green is a superwash 100% wool drops charisma. So I've washed this once in the washing machine with the normal load, and it's come out just fine. I've got an end to weave in still, but it's been worn and loved already, so great. Moving on to the last two items that I'm going to be talking about, and they are both new cast-ons. So, Nitty McPurley, or Devon Ventry from the Nitty McPurley podcast, was talking. I like to listen to her podcast on a Sunday or Monday. She posts once a week, and she was talking. She mentioned ages ago about her Audrey sweater, and it's got this most amazing neckline. And the minute I saw it, I thought I need to knit that at some point. Like, it's more of a spring-summer knit, but I need to knit that at some point. Like, really, really. Anyway, so she announced that she's having a knit-along, and that piqued my interest. I was like, okay, I'm in the market for a new jumper. I've just finished a whole bunch and don't have anything massive on the needles. So maybe that should be my next one. And then she said something even more interesting, that the pattern was half price. So I stopped the video right there, went straight to her website, bought the pattern, and then carried on watching her podcast. I just had to have that pattern. And so I've cast it on. So I'm kind of technically joining the knit-along. I need to still post a photo on Instagram just to say that I'm part of the knit-along, because I don't know how many of us are there, and I'd like to just show my support for the pattern, because it is just really a lovely pattern. So here we go. There's not much. This is knit in Drops Puna. It's like a beigey color. I was going for a neutral one. I bought this with the what is the cabled sweater from Petiteknit called? Moby sweater? Anyways, the one with all the cables, like the famous one. The famous one. The one that everybody's knit with the cables. If you're knitting a cable jumper, then that's probably the one you're going to go for. What is it? Yeah. Anyway, that one. I really wanted to knit that one. So I bought this Drops Puna, which is also 100% alpaca. It's the DK Drops version of the 100% alpaca one that I knit this one. You can see the colors are very similar. Yeah, very, very similar. But this is the fingering weight held double, which is DK, and this is just the DK. Lovely and soft. It is so soft. I have a black jumper in this Drops Puna, and it is one of my ultimate favorites. The texture is so soft and so squishy and so cozy. It's just so warm. So warm. And it's not a heavy one like this. This is quite a heavy jumper. This is not heavy. It's much lighter, and it's just so warm, and so it's perfect. It's my absolute favorite yarn to knit with. Anyway, it hardly ever goes on sale, because I think it's a lot of people's favorites, and They tend to not put that one on sale. But it is on sale because it's alpaca and all the alpaca is on sale. So I bought, was it 10? Yeah, about 500 grams of this, hoping that it's going to crank out at least one sweater. So I think it might work for this one because this one's neckline is pretty wide. You can see it's sort of like a boat neck. And it's quite wide off the shoulders. It's got a lovely neckline. Lovely, lovely neckline. And then it's just a raglan. But the raglan doesn't come from here, which is where it normally comes from. It's coming from a bit wider off the shoulder. And I like that look a bit more like it's more of a nod to a drop shoulder than to a classic raglan that comes straight from there. Like, I don't like this look. It makes my shoulders look wider and broader and bigger than they need to be. And so just off the shoulder here is probably the only kind of raglan that I would from now on attempt to knit, because I've come to realize that the classic raglans just is not for my body type, for my shoulders anyway. And this one ticks all the boxes, and it has an interesting neckline. So this is it, not much. It's on 4mm needles, so it won't take too long. And I'm knitting them on my fixed circulars for a change. I hardly ever use my fixed circulars. I always use my interchangeables. So these are the Knit Pros or Knitter's Pride ones. I think in the US it's called Knitter's Pride, but here in the UK, Knit Pro. Zings, so they are the metal ones. I love the rhythm I get from the metal needles with the alpaca. It glides and slides so nicely. So I knit my fastest probably on this combination, which is very enjoyable. Not that it's a race, but it's enjoyable. It really is. Right, and the last thing on my list is a pair of mitts. So my own design. It is not finished, but I'm work in progress. So this is what I'm knitting with the leftover hand-dyed yarn, and I'm combining that with some leftover Drops Kid Silk mohair that I've had in my stash for a while, and don't know what to use it for. So I thought, well, let me pair these two together and see what they look like. And they are just delightful. So super warm. I've decided on a twisted rib, what's it called? Cuff, I guess. Lovely cable. If you've never done cables before, this is the kind of thing you want to do, because it's got one simple cable and it just looks it makes the whole thing look so elegant and more complicated than it really is. Very simple and easy to do. And then a simple gusset for the thumb. So you can see all the stitch markers are still on it, but this is for the mornings when I drive the boys to work. When I drive the boys to school, my hands absolutely freeze on the steering wheel. It is so cold. It's like they're actually pain from the cold on that steering wheel. It is so cold. So this is just going to provide that little bit of warmth to get me from home to school and back again in the mornings. They'll be well used. And I think it's a brilliant way to use the leftover hand-dyed yarn, because I'll get to see it every day. So yes, very excited about those. And I might actually write this up into a pattern. We'll see. It's so simple and so easy, but so elegant. The cable just looks really good. And this is like had a little itch to do a bit of cabling, because I decided against the I think it's the Marseille Sweater. I decided to go against that instead for the Audrey sweater, and so my cable plans fell through in that sense. So this is just that I just wanted to do a bit of cabling, but I didn't fancy the all over cables at the moment. So this is that one. This is the school run mitts. I don't know what to call them, but school run mitts, and they should be finished in the next day or two. This took me an afternoon and an evening. So Sunday afternoon I cast them on at about 2:00, and about 9:00 in the evening it was pretty much done. So I on and off knit for a few hours there, and that was a lot of fun. I just really missed it. I don't like wearing mohair that much, so I don't like knitting with it too much, but it's lovely to knit with. It just feels really nice and soft. And I'm checking my notes here. I think that's all the finished objects and all the new cast-ons that I have. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've seen some new things here that have maybe inspired something. And I hope to see you again soon. And hopefully it won't be that long between this and the next podcast. See you then. Bye.